When a man hurts you, the worst thing you can do is chase him, beg him, or try to explain yourself. Because here's the truth, men don't respond to words. They respond to how you make them feel. If a man pulls away, goes cold, or disrespects you, don't collapse into drama. Don't start texting novels. Don't cry about how unfair it is, and don't keep asking him, why are you treating me this way? Because that just tells him he's got all the power. Instead, confuse him. How? By doing the opposite of what he expects. He expects you to chase. So you stop, he expects you to complain. So you get calm, centered, and playful. He expects you to be broken. So you show him you're unbothered, glowing, and moving on with your life. That's when a man starts scratching his head, wondering, wait a second, did I just lose her? Did I mess this up? That's when the dynamic flips. He's no longer in control because now he's chasing clarity. He's chasing you. Look, I'm not telling you to play games. I'm telling you to show strength. When you pull back your energy, when you lean into your value, when you radiate confidence, he'll feel that shift instantly. And trust me, nothing confuses a man more than a woman who refuses to beg for his approval. So remember, when a man hurts you, don't get angry, don't fall apart, and don't try to convince him to change. Step back, center yourself, and let your silence and your strength do the talking. That's the kind of confusion he'll never forget. When a man hurts you, your first instinct might be to chase after him, to demand answers, to beg for clarity. That urge comes from fear of losing him, fear of being abandoned, fear of not being enough. But here's the thing, when you give into that urge, you put yourself in the weakest possible position. You're literally telling him, you can treat me badly and I'll still fight for you. What does that do? It confirms in his mind that he has all the power and you have none. Men don't respect what comes too easily. And if you hand your self-respect over to him on a silver platter, he's going to treat it like it has no value. Begging, pleading, and chasing not only make you look desperate, they erase attraction. Think about if a man is already pulling away, already showing you that he's not invested, and you respond by chasing harder. What message does that send? It tells him, my happiness depends on you. My emotions depend on you. My self-worth depends on you. That's not love. That's dependency. And nothing kills attraction faster than a woman who gives off needy, desperate energy. Men are biologically wired to want a challenge. They're drawn to women who know their value, who hold their standards, and who don't collapse the second things get difficult. When you beg or over-explain, you remove all of that mystery and challenge. Over-explaining is another trap women fall into when they're hurt. You feel like, if I just explain myself, if I just pour my heart out, maybe he'll understand and change. But men don't fall in love with logic, they fall in love with how you make them feel. And if your words are loaded with neediness, with anxiety, with desperation, it doesn't matter how many paragraphs you send, he's not listening. In fact, the more you explain, the less he cares. You're literally teaching him that no matter how much he pulls back, you'll keep chasing him down with endless explanations and justifications. That doesn't inspire him to respect you. It inspires him to pull away even further. Now let's get real. When you chase, beg, or over-explain, you think you're fighting for love. But what you're actually doing is fighting against yourself. You're betraying your own value in hopes that he'll finally see it. But it never works like that. A man can only respect you if you respect yourself first. And respect means boundaries. It means when he hurts you, you don't try to win him over with words. You pull back your energy. You stop rewarding bad behavior with your attention. You stop trying to fix him, save him, or convince him. You let him feel the silence. And trust me, silence is far more powerful than any speech you could ever give. Imagine this: a man disrespects you, hurts you, maybe even ignores you. Instead of sending him long texts or blowing up his phone, you simply step back, you go quiet, you get busy with your own life. You put your energy into your growth, your friendships, your goals. Suddenly, he doesn't have the reaction he expected. He thought you'd beg, cry, or fight for him, but instead, you're calm, you're collected, you're unavailable. That shift creates a deep sense of confusion in him. It makes him wonder, wait, did I lose her? Did she stop caring? Did I misjudge her? And that confusion, that silence, does what your words never could. It forces him to reflect on his own behavior. The power is always in how you respond. When you don't chase, you're saying, I don't need to convince you of my worth. Either you see it or you lose it. When you don't beg, you're saying, I don't negotiate for love. If you can't treat me right, I'll walk away. When you don't over-explain, you're saying, my value speaks for itself. I don't need to defend it. And that right there is the essence of strength. Men can't help but respect it. And more importantly, when you hold that frame, you stop giving your power away to someone who doesn't deserve it. Instead, you reclaim it. You show yourself and him that your heart is not up for cheap bargaining. Men are emotional creatures even though most won't admit it. They may act logical, tough, or detached on the surface, but at their core they respond to feelings. Words, explanations, and logical arguments don't move a man the way emotions do. You can tell a man 1,000 times that you love him, that you're loyal, that you're the best woman he'll ever meet. But if he doesn't feel that when he's around you, those words mean nothing. That's why I always say it's not about what you say, it's about how you make him feel. Attraction, love, and respect don't live in the brain. They live in the gut, in the heart, in that emotional place inside a man that words can't reach. Think about it like this: if you're calm, radiant, and confident, he feels peace when he's around you. If you're playful and lighthearted, he feels excitement. If you're grounded in your value, he feels admiration and respect for you without you saying a word. But if you're anxious, needy, or constantly trying to explain yourself, what if feels pressure? He feels drained. He feels like being around you is work. And that's when men start pulling away. Not because of what you said, but because of how you made them feel when you said it. That's the critical difference most women miss. Here's the reality. Men don't fall in love with the woman who talks them into it. They fall in love with the woman who creates an emotional experience that feels good to be around. It's no different than a favorite song. You don't love the lyrics because they're logical. You love them because they make you feel something deep. That's how men experience women. They may listen to your words, but they're tuned into your energy, your tone, your vibe. If your words don't line up with the way you make him feel, he'll always believe the feeling over the words. You can say, "I'm fine." But if your energy is heavy and resentful, he'll believe the resentment. You can say, "I trust you." But if your actions are clingy and insecure, he'll believe the insecurity. The feelings always win. That's why emotional self-control is everything. When a man hurts you, the easy move is to lash out, cry, or blow up his phone with long explanations. But ask yourself, how does that make him feel? Not safe, not respected, not attracted. It makes him feel cornered. And when a man feels cornered, he pulls back harder. On the other hand, if you respond with calm strength, with composure, with silence when it's needed, he feels your value. He feels your confidence. He feels the kind of emotional stability that makes a man want to step up. You didn't have to explain it. You didn't have to argue it. You just embodied it. And that's what sticks with him. Here's the secret: a man doesn't always remember what you said, but he never forgets how you made him feel. If he feels criticized, judged, or pressured, he'll associate you with negativity. If he feels light, desired, and respected, he'll crave your presence. It's that simple. Your power is not in persuading him with words. It's in creating the emotional climate he can't walk away from. That's why chasing, begging, or explaining yourself backfires. It creates feelings of pressure and loss of respect. But when you pull back, when you center yourself, when you radiate joy and calm confidence, he feels something he doesn't want to lose. That's when the attraction deepens. So stop thinking you can talk a man into loving you, respecting you, or treating you better. You can't. Men don't connect through lectures, arguments, or explanations. They connect to the emotions you evoke in them. Every tone you set, every reaction you give, every bit of energy you bring into the room, he's soaking it up. That's what shapes his desire. That's what keeps him chasing. And that's why your words are always secondary to how you make him feel in your presence. When a man hurts you, he expects a reaction. He expects you to cry, to blow up his phone, to confront him with anger, or to demand answers. Why? Because that's what most women do. And when you react like that, you make his behavior predictable and easy for him to dismiss. He knows you're going to chase. He knows you're going to fall apart. He knows you're going to make the situation about him. That reaction feeds his ego. It reassures him that no matter how he treats you, you'll still be there fighting for his attention. That's why doing the opposite of what he expects is so powerful. It throws him completely off balance. Instead of collapsing into drama, you get calm. You don't match his chaos with more chaos. You don't escalate the situation. You center yourself, breathe, and pull your energy back. That calmness confuses him lips. Because it's not what he's conditioned to see. He thought he had you under his thumb, that he could control your emotions with his actions. But when you stay calm, you're silently saying, "I'm not going to let you dictate how I feel." And that's magnetic. That composure shows strength, and strength always commands respect. Playfulness is another way to disarm a man who expects drama. Think about it. If he tries to provoke you, hurt you, or test your reaction, and instead of blowing up you respond with lightness or humor, what happens? He loses the control he thought he had. He's expecting an emotional explosion, and instead he gets playfulness. That contrast is what keeps him off balance. He'll start questioning himself. Did she not care as much as I thought? Did I misjudge her? Why is she not reacting the way other women would? That's the kind of confusion that plants seeds in his mind, seeds that make him second. Guess his behavior. Being centered means you hold on to your power no matter what he does. You don't swing wildly between highs and lows based on his attention. You don't get overly excited when he comes close, and you don't fall apart when he pulls away. You remain steady, consistent, grounded. That steadiness is rare. Most women, when they're hurt, act out of impulse and fear. But when you stay centered, you project an unshakable confidence that says, I'm fine with or without you. And that message hits deep because men instinctively respect women who can stand strong on their own. The truth is, when you do the opposite of what he expects, you're reclaiming your frame. You're saying without words, I set the tone here. You don't. That reversal is powerful because men are used to seeing women chase when they withdraw. They're used to seeing women plead when they hurt them. But when you pull back, when you get calm, when you even laugh off his attempts to shake you, that's when the tables turn. Suddenly, he's not the one in control anymore. He's the one who's confused, unsettled, and even intrigued. And that intrigue is what draws him back toward you. This isn't about pretending or playing games. It's about training yourself to respond from strength instead of weakness. When you stay calm, playful, and centered, you're not suppressing your feelings, you're redirecting them. You're reminding yourself that your value doesn't come from how he treats you, it comes from how you carry yourself. And when you embody that truth, he feels it instantly. That feeling is what throws him off because he expected you to fall apart. But instead, you rose above. That's the difference that makes him see you in a completely new light. When a man hurts you, silence is not weakness, it's power. Most women feel the need to react, to say something, to defend themselves, or to demand answers. But when you go silent, when you refuse to feed into the chaos, that silence speaks louder than any words could. It unsettles him. He's expecting you to fight, cry, or argue. He's ready for the emotional storm. But when that storm never comes, he's left in the dark. He starts replaying what happened in his head, asking himself, why isn't she reacting? Did she stop caring? Did I push her too far? That's when the confusion sets in, and confusion is what makes him question his own behavior. Strength doesn't mean being cold or robotic. Strength means you're in control of yourself no matter what he does. If he disrespects you, you don't explode, you withdraw. If he pulls away, you don't chase, you let him go. If he tries to provoke a reaction, you stay grounded in your worth. That strength forces him to look at himself in a way he wouldn't if you were busy over explaining or begging. Because when you're strong, you show him through your actions that his behavior didn't shake you, it exposed him. That's uncomfortable for a man because deep down, he knows he lost the power play the second you refuse to engage. Silence is especially powerful because it removes certainty. Certainty is what most men expect when they test or hurt a woman. They expect to know exactly how you'll react. They expect to see you chasing, needing, or demanding. But when you give them nothing, you create uncertainty. And uncertainty is the spark that flips the dynamic. Instead of you questioning where you stand with him, suddenly he's questioning where he stands with you. That reversal forces him to think harder about his actions, his choices, and whether or not he just pushed away a woman who refuses to tolerate disrespect. Think about it this way: if you scream, argue, or beg for attention, he gets validation. Even negative attention is still attention. He can tell himself, she's still invested, she still cares, I still matter. But when you go silent, you deny him that validation. You deny him the comfort of knowing you're still hooked. That silence makes him sit with his own behavior without you cushioning the blow. He has to live with the discomfort of not knowing what's going on in your mind. That mental gap, that space of uncertainty, is what makes him restless. It's what makes him wonder if he crossed a line he can't come back from. Strength and silence also communicate a boundary without you saying a word. You're showing him, if you hurt me, I don't reward you with my energy. If you disrespect me, I don't fight for your attention. If you want access to me, you need to earn it. Men understand boundaries when they feel them, not when they're told about them. And silence is the clearest boundary you can set. It says, I won't compete for your respect. Either you treat me right or you lose me. That clarity hits harder than any lecture because it's felt, not explained. Here's the kicker. Men never forget how it feels when a woman's silence forces them to reflect. That memory sticks. The confusion lingers. They may not admit it, but they replay it in their heads. Why didn't she react? Why didn't she chase? Why did she just go quiet? And every time they revisit that thought, they're reminded of your strengths. That strength forces them to see you differently, not as someone they can walk all over, but as someone they have to step up for if they want to keep you. That shift doesn't come from talking, begging, or arguing. It comes from silence paired with strength, and that's what makes a man truly question his behavior. Too many women hear advice about pulling back, staying silent, or not chasing a man, and they automatically think, oh, that's just playing games. But it's not. Playing games means you're being manipulative. It means you're pretending to be something you're not, hoping to trick him into wanting you. That's not what this is about. This is about living in a way that reflects your value. When you choose not to chase, when you choose not to beg, when you choose silence over drama, you're not playing games, you're practicing self-respect. And self-respect is not a tactic, it's a lifestyle. Valuing yourself means you don't lower your standards just because you're afraid of losing him. It means you don't stick around when someone repeatedly shows you they don't respect you. It means you don't pour all of your energy into trying to convince someone of your worth because you know your worth isn't up for negotiation. If you let a man mistreat you while you cling to him, that's not love. That's fear. But when you value yourself, you say, I'd rather lose you than lose my self-respect. That's not a game. That's strength. And ironically, it's that strength that makes a man respect you more than any speech or explanation ever could. Here's the truth. Men can spot the difference between a woman who's being manipulative and a woman who's truly confident. When you're playing games, your actions come from insecurity. You're trying to get a reaction out of him to test him, to prove something. But when you're living from a place of value, your actions come from confidence. You're not trying to control him, you're controlling yourself. That's the key difference. One comes from fear, the other comes from power. And men feel that difference instantly. When you value yourself, you naturally pull back when a man hurts you, not to punish him, but because you don't give your energy to someone who doesn't deserve it. You naturally stay calm instead of blowing up, not because you're hiding your feelings, but because you refuse to let someone else dictate your state of mind. You naturally avoid begging or over-explaining, not because you're playing hard to get, but because you already know you're worth more than that. Everything you do comes from a place of strength, and strength never looks like a game. It looks like integrity. The problem is, most women confuse effort with value. They think if they give more, explain more, chase harder, and prove themselves, the man will finally see their worth. But the opposite is true. When you chase, when you beg, when you lower your standards, you're literally showing him that you don't value yourself. And if you don't value yourself, why would he? But when you stand firm, when you let him feel the absence of your energy after he's hurt you, that's when he sees your value. Because you're showing him through your actions that you won't compete for love, you won't fight for scraps, you'd rather walk away than betray yourself. So remember this, valuing yourself doesn't push a good man away, it attracts him. A man who's serious, who's masculine, who's truly looking for a woman to respect and cherish. He craves a woman who values herself. Because if you don't value yourself, you can't expect him to. That's why this isn't about games. This is about embodying the truth that you are worthy, no matter how he acts. And when you stand in that truth, everything you do, from your silence to your calmness to your boundaries, flows natural. That's not manipulation, that's self-love in action. Confidence is magnetic. When you radiate it, people feel it before you even say a word. And in relationships, confidence is the game changer. Most women think they need to do more, say more, or give more to get a man to chase them. But it's not about doing more, it's about being more grounded, more centered, more secure in your own value. When you carry yourself with confidence and self-respect, the dynamic shifts immediately. You're no longer the one seeking approval. You're the prize. And men can feel that shift in an instant. When a man hurts you and you respond with desperation, you hand him the frame, he becomes the one with the power because you've made his attention the center of your world. But when you respond with confidence, when you refuse to lower your standards, when you step back instead of chasing, the frame flips. Suddenly, he's the one who has to prove himself. He's the one who has to work to earn back your attention. That's what creates the chase, not manipulation, not pretending, but your refusal to compromise your self-respect. That reversal is what gets into his head and makes him rethink his behavior. Self-respect is what sets the standard for how others treat you. If you respect yourself, you won't tolerate disrespect from him. You won't make excuses for his behavior, and you won't beg him to change. Instead, you'll show him through your actions that you are serious about your value. And here's the truth. Men test boundaries all the time, consciously or unconsciously. They want to see how much they can get away with. And every time you hold firm, every time you refuse to chase, every time you stand tall in your worth, you teach him exactly how you expect to be treated. That lesson is powerful because it forces him to rise to meet your standard. The beauty of confidence is that it's contagious. When you walk into a room glowing, when you carry yourself like you're complete and whole without needing validation. He feels it. It makes him want to be around you because that kind of energy is rare. A confident woman doesn't smother, doesn't cling, doesn't need constant reassurance. She knows who she is and what she deserves. And that presence alone makes a man want to invest more, chase harder, and step up. Not because you pressured him into it, but because your energy inspired him to. Think about how the dynamic changes. If he hurts you and you chase, he relaxes. He knows he's got you locked down. But if he hurts you and you radiate self-respect, he feels tension. He feels a loss. He feels like he could actually lose you, and that fear flips everything. Men are hunters by nature, and nothing motivates them like the risk of losing something valuable. When you embody confidence and stop handing out your energy freely, you make him see that you're not just another woman, you're the woman he doesn't want to lose. That's when the chase begins. At the end of the day, it's not about tricks or strategies, it's about the way you carry yourself. A confident, self-respecting woman doesn't need to chase because she already knows her worth. She lets her presence do the talking. She lets her standards set the tone. And when a man feels that, when he feels that shift in energy, it creates a pull he can't resist. He starts thinking about you when you're not around. He starts questioning if he's good enough for you. He starts chasing because deep down he knows he has to earn you. That's the dynamic you create when you radiate confidence and self-respect. You stop chasing him and he starts chasing you